Divorce, unfortunately, is prolific. I mean, it's grown over the years. The last time I heard a statistic, I don't know if it still holds true, but it's shocking when you hear, half of U.S. marriages end in divorce. That was a thing for a while. I don't know if that's still true, but the kids that are involved in it, not every marriage has the children to deal with, but the children involved and often don't become the focus, and they should. It was the main reason I started this thing, Radio Dad, years ago in the 90s. Just is for that, to talk about the importance of the kids. And let's get with Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services. Every week about now, we talk with Doc Braccio. And what's up, Doc? Dr. Braccio, good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Mike. And this is really a big topic, okay? In terms of, while it's true that many persons are happy and relieved to be divorced, when the love and caring have ended, okay, that's true. Mm-hmm. With that said, often forgotten in the equation are the children and their future relationships, not only with both parents, but with important and loved family members. And divorced parents need to never forget they divorced each other, but the children have not divorced anyone. Yeah. And they want a loving relationship, but with all the family members and partners who put the needs of their children ahead of themselves work together to make sure the children are able to have good, loving relationships with both sets of grandparents, aunts, and uncles, cousins, and other extended members of the family. The partners that do not do this often do it out of anger at the ex and use it as a form of punishment for them. When this occurs, the feelings and any trauma and sadness the children are experiencing through the divorce is really not considered. And that's really not appropriate. So in a divorce, part of the process needs to be not just to settle the legal affairs, and that does have to be done, but the following really are things couples really need to do to help the children to really adapt to the divorce and just move forward. You've got to accept and really the marriage is over. I mean, that's for you to accept, okay? But you have to make every effort to try to at least get along with each other for the sake of the children. This can be difficult. It's very difficult, particularly at the beginning. But even if you have bad feelings for each other, it's important to try to get over them and, really just realize your children belong to both of you and that really they do have the right to have loving and caring relatives, in their lives. So, in what is mentally healthy interaction, with the two families, this does need to be worked out with appropriate rules and boundaries. And once you do that, you can kind of move forward. But I believe firmly, each parent in the divorce needs to do all they can to make children's lives as stable as possible. This doesn't happen too often. This certainly is helped by allowing them to have the love, affection, and caring that they do from grandparents and other members of the extended family. Now, if the two of you, if the anger is so huge and the hurt so much that you really can't deal with it, well, you have to really, you just realize that's really inappropriate. You can, seek the support of a therapist experienced in divorce and the aftermath, trauma and anger, and just, try to really work on having healthy interactions and really, because the ability of children of divorce to have good relationships with families, both spouses, really it's a major area of concern in divorces, and that too often is not discussed before and after divorce. So, but for emphasis, we just really need to make sure that children have the opportunity to interact with all family members with the goal of having them able to love and who they choose to love and just have this opportunity. And I can tell you, Mike, for someone who's worked many, many years with families and families of divorce, it is really critical to children that they have this opportunity. And too often it's not done. And you, of course, from your work, you're aware of the damage that can happen to children that don't have this opportunity to have this love relationship.
Painfully personally aware of it. And there are some things that you have to understand are outside your control once there is a split. If the other spouse, maybe the other spouse and you have a good communication and relationship, for the good, if nothing else, for the sake of the children, at least on the surface. But you cannot control that person, and you can't control that person's side of the family. In that, there's a thing called parental alienation.
Yes. Yes.
And boy, oh boy. And so my son and daughter, the oldest ones from the first time around, David, my son, great guy. He and I get along. We talk. And he's made me a grandfather, right? And he called me when that day was happening. My daughter, on the other hand, totally affected by the other side of the family. And came the teen years, now she's in her 20s, come the teen years, she was done. Visitations were done, things were done. It just, so you got to watch out for that. And she hasn't,
Yes, you do.
we haven't, but I continue. Here's the thing. You got to still try. Painful as it is, you got to still try.
Well,
and I because like I'll send an email I'll send a card, I send an email every birthday, every Christmas, all that. Never have heard back since 2014. That's beside the point. You still got to try.
I think you try, and parental alienation is really a big issue. When parents will try to turn kids against the other spouse. See, the problem is when people can't accept that children belong to both of us. Okay, and it's really critical. If the kids are going to be stable and have good relationships in their lives, it's important that divorcing parents really work hard to have the communication, really have the kids be allowed. Kids aren't getting the divorce. Parents are getting the divorce. So when kids are alienated and they turn against the parent and then they don't see the grandparents and other family members, that's damaging, Mike. It ends up being damaging. That's just really an unfortunate thing. And you've seen it yourself from a personal point of view. I do like the fact and respect the fact that you keep trying. Whatever is going on in the mind of your daughter, you still love your daughter and you want her to know that, and you're going to keep trying to make communication. And that's actually part of what I'm talking about today. It's unfortunate that it ever got to that point, because really we do want our children and extended families and parents to just to get along, and when you run into a spouse that doesn't want that, it can be very, very damaging in terms of the road of life. And that's something you've kind of dedicated yourself to, isn't it? Trying to have fathers involved and have parents working together. So I respect you, for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I will say this also, and I only come from a guy's standpoint. We guys, we tend to think, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine. No, I got this. I'm fine. No, you're not. And get help. Seek it out. Yeah. One of the reasons I started Radio Dad is because every divorced dad I looked to for advice, they were all, for lack of a better term, pissed off. They were all mad. Yeah. And that's not where you want to go for advice. So you got to seek out professional help. Seek out Doc Braccio, somebody like that. Regional Psychological Services. We're up on time, and we could go all day on this, Doc, as you know. But
yes. Well, listen, a pleasure talking to you, because this is an important topic, and let's hope that we get more and more where the parents can, for the sake of the kids, get over their disagreements and have them have good relationships, not only with the parents but with grandparents and other family members. It's really important for the kids.
Dr. Braccio, thank you for this. We appreciate it. And next week, we'll do it again, okay? Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Well, I'll talk to you before Thanksgiving, so next week.
Very good, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, bud. Doc Braccio. They're all important topics. This is, as I said, this is very near and dear. Regional Psychological Services, look them up. We're going to do this, come back. Are you kidding me? Nuclear weapons? They're using the words nuclear weapons, talking about the 1,000th day of the Russia-Ukraine war. We'll get with Jonathan Savage in a minute. And Alyssa Slotkin up after the news. 1320 WILS, Mike Austin back in just a minute.